In this video, we have got a 100 plus kill game on Twisted Steel Conquest with, as you can see, the M3 infrared from the Scout class. As always, stick around in this video. In just a moment's time, I'll pop up the specializations on screen, and then we'll get into why I use those specializations and the pros and cons of the weapon. So, with the specializations on screen, you can see I use quick aim, recoil buffer, high velocity bullets, and finally quick reload, which is going to be 1 on the right, 2 on the left, and the last one being on the right. When considering the first specialization choice, on the left you're going to be able to choose a specialization which increases your hipfire accuracy, or you'll have quick aim on the right, which increases your aim down sight speed by 33%. Of course, the 33% faster ADS time is going to be the best choice here. Hipfire, as you can see with the crosshairs there, are already pretty close, and you're very rarely ever going to be using hipfire on this gun, and it's good enough if you do get into a close range engagement if an enemy pushes up onto you, or alternatively, in those close range engagements, you're going to be using your pistol anyway. So aiming down your sight faster by 33% is absolutely the best way to go, especially when you've obviously got the big infrared component which is blocking up a lot of your screen, whereby you're going to be either running around with your pistol or sprinting so that you can try and keep that big infrared component basically down and out of the way of your screen so that you can see more things. As a result, you've got to then obviously go from a sprint more often to aiming down your sights, or switching from your sidearm and then aiming in with your primary. So aiming down your sights 33% faster, in short, is going to be the best specialization to start with. Moving on to the second and third specialization choice, you have on the left, which is what I go with, recoil buffer, which is going to be a lower vertical recoil, as well as increased bullet velocity, which increases your bullet speed by 10%. Versus on the right side, the second specialization on the right being increased accuracy while moving, and the third specialization on the right being lightened stock, therefore having a faster movement side to side while aimed down sight. All in all, the left side is going to be kind of an accuracy and increased or faster time to kill route, whereas the right side is mostly going to come down to benefits with movement. So on the left side, of course, lower vertical recoil is always going to be beneficial on a semi-automatic weapon, which generally is only going to really be affected, but mostly by vertical recoil. As a result, you're going to find yourself having a faster time to kill, thanks to having, firstly, obviously better accuracy, which is going to land more shots on target and get kills faster, as well as obviously having less vertical recoil, which allows you not only just with the thumbstick and pulling down against that recoil, but also just the gun in general helping you, thanks to the specialization, pulling your sight down onto the target quicker, allowing you to hit shots faster, regardless of whether you've got a fast fire rate or whatever. You're going to hit bullets on target faster thanks to that. And secondly, obviously on the left side, you've got the increased bullet velocity by 10%, which is going to allow you to be better and more accurate and effective at medium to long range, which is what you're going to want to be using this gun at those ranges, as well as hitting the target 10% faster, therefore getting kills pretty much about 10% faster. When comparing this to the right side, of course, accuracy increased while moving is, again, it's going to be useful because it's an increased accuracy. However, pairing that with the lightened stock, basically all to do with movement while aimed down sight, while this could be useful to make yourself a harder target to hit, the overall problem or issue with this gun is that, as I said, the big infrared component on top of the gun, if that's what you want to call it, obviously blocks a lot of your vision. So a lot of the time it's going to be very hard to spot enemies and be the first one to aim in and shoot back during a gunfight, because a lot of the time when using this, you're only going to actually notice or see an enemy when they start shooting at you first, because it's going to block, again, as I said, a lot of your vision Otherwise, you're going to be in the middle of sprinting or with your sidearm out so that you can have, again, improved vision. Which means when you do see an enemy, you've then got to go from a sprint down to ADS, or I've got to change from your sidearm to ADS, which again is going to be slower than just at a walking speed and aiming in. So while light and stock could be useful when you do actually aim in and get into that gunfight late by making yourself a harder target to hit, while you will make yourself a harder target to hit for the enemy, therefore lowering the enemy's accuracy, you moving faster will also make you miss a few more shots now and then, which will also lower your accuracy. So there is a clearly defined disadvantage to this as well. Lastly, for the final specialization choice, on the right we're going to have a faster reload by 15%, which is what I go with, versus on the left, which is slings and swivels, which allows you to basically change weapons faster and bring the gun up faster from that sprint. Now, the right side, of course, is what I'm going to go with. You've effectively got an M1 carbine, but it's obviously got the infrared component on it. However, the difference is with this, you've only got 16 rounds, and you can't choose the extended mag option, which on the M1 carbine does take you up to 32 rounds. As a result, you are going to be reloading with this gun after every 1 to 2 kills. So you're going to be reloading a lot with this gun. A faster reload will actually save your life a couple of times throughout the course of a game, because it'll allow you to get that reload in and pull the gun up to kill that next enemy. Because it's inevitable that you will encounter more than 2 enemies. You might encounter a squad most of the time, which is going to require you to have to reload at least once. So therefore, it's a very important specialization choice. Of course, the left side could be considered useful, mainly for changing from your, changing weapons faster. However, you will see me run around a lot in these clips with the pistol out, just so I can see more of the map and see enemies moving around. However, when I spot an enemy, most of the time it's not spotting an enemy and being straight in the middle of a gunfight. I'm spotting an enemy in the distance at medium to long range, and therefore, having plenty of time to change from my secondary to my primary and then start engaging them. Slings and swivels is more useful in the medic class with a more aggressive weapon, a more aggressive playstyle, where of course you want to pull your secondary out or change to your primary faster to win that gunfight in effect. So while changing gear could be useful if an enemy does pop up into a gunfight, I'm basically holding positions or staying at medium to long range of enemies, and so I shouldn't have to worry about changing weapons quickly to get in or out of a gunfight. So therefore, the faster reload is a lot more useful, especially when you are already in gunfights with more than one enemy. Okay, so that concludes the specializations for the M3 Infrared. And lastly, before I let you guys watch the final 5+ minutes of this gameplay in peace, so that you can actually hear the gunshots and the audio, and just enjoy it, the last thing I'll talk about is going to be, of course, how to play Twisted Steel to maximize the most amount of enemies that you can potentially see throughout the course of a game, specifically, obviously, in this case, on Conquest, and therefore how to maximize your kills to potentially go and get that 100 bomb, which is obviously what I like to do. So, with Twisted Steel, whenever I've had 100+ kill games in the past, it's going to be with guns that are good at long range, namely being semi-automatic assault rifles, such as the Gewehr 43. There is a video of that on the channel you can go and watch after this one if you like. As well as, in this case, the Scout class, with the more aggressive weapons, which will be the M3 Infrared, or the semi-automatic sniper rifles, such as the ZH, RSC, etc. And you're going to want to use these guns rather than the bolt action snipers, where you need to be very accurate and go for headshots, mainly because there are going to be quite a lot of close to medium range engagements on the bridge when you're trying to push between B flag and E flag. There's a lot of different points of cover and vehicles on the bridge which enemies can hide behind, and to run up and down this area you are going to come into close range engagements, so you need something which can be versatile, which is good at medium to long range, but also just about good enough at close range. As you can obviously see in these clips, the main best point in the map is going to be E flag, which is directly in the center of the map, and kind of is like other maps where the main power position or footfall or flow of where players are going to be on the map in the game is going to be around that main center flag or center point of the map, with other key examples of other maps like this being Arras with E flag with the main sort of town in the center, Devastation in the center of the church as well being another good example of where of two other maps where if you pretty much hang around the center of the map on those flags for the entire game, you still can get a really high amount of kills and even top the leaderboard. So that's the main sort of areas you want to be staying on the bridge, and the reason why the Scout class helps amazingly for going for high kill games on Twisted Steel is not only just because you've got pretty much all weapons that are well equipped for medium to long range, which is what you're going to need on this map, basically staying at the center here on the bridge, and you can see with a quick, a short equal distance to all the other flags around it, the enemies which will be coming from those flags to the bridge in the center. So from, I guess, the bridge, you can minimize the amount of running that you're doing and therefore spend more time actually spotting enemies, aiming in and shooting. But the second main thing, of course, with the Scout class is going to be the spawn beacon, which, there's so many good spots you can hide the spawn beacon on the bridge or even under the bridge and simply climb up the ladders onto the bridge to allow you to get lots of different flanks and therefore get, kill after kill after kill. But again, minimizes the time you need to run from one of those flags that are way out in the open, and you're going to die very often running from, for example, F flag here out in the open to get to the bridge. So the spawn beacon helps massively there with that, as well as having other gadgets such as the flare gun or the Doppelschuss, which gives you 2 flares which you can shoot up in the air with a massive radius, allows you to spot where the enemies are or what direction enemies are going to be in, and effectively cuts out a lot of the guessing and decision making of which direction you should go in, spots exactly where an enemy is to allow you to basically locate them on the minimap instantly, waste little to no time making decisions, and basically just push in straight away, get the kills and move on. So the Scout class, absolutely super effective for Twisted Steel. But yeah, there's 4 minutes left now, not 5 minutes as I said, because I went into too much detail. But I'll leave it there, so smash like for me if you did find anything useful. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video, or on streams which are on a Friday or a Saturday around 7 to 8 PM for a few hours. See you on the next one.
Ihr müsst uns sofort einen Nachschubwälzer besorgen.
Alles klar, Soldat. Ausrüstung unterwegs. Objective Dora is now ours.